Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest DT CSI layout. So CSI stands for Color Stories Inspiration, and you'll find it has a blog and a Facebook group and an Instagram if you'd like to check it out. So this is case file 375, so that's the image on the right that you can see there, and also there is a list of other things you can include in your layout if you'd like to take on this challenge. So I'm going to make a Christmassy layout which goes with the images on the right there, and I'm going to make a grid format using a picture of my nephew as the centre. To make this layout, I've dug out a couple of old hip kits. They're from at least a couple of years ago, I think. It's Merry Everything and Make a Wish. And I'm on a mission really to start to use things up and get them into my albums rather than having them in my craft space. So it looks like there's quite a lot of stash, but it is a couple of kits that have come together here. So to make the grid, I'm going to use these chipboard frames as the basis, and the idea in my mind is to embellish each one around the photograph. This was my nephew's first Christmas, so I've got that in the back of my mind as I'm looking through the embellishments to see if they would fit with this photograph. So I'm going to go with the colourways that's mentioned on the page on the right there. So that's like a Tiffany blue with a red and white. So quite Christmassy. No green, but that's fine. I've got lots of stash here I can use up. So yeah, the word Christmas has already made it onto the layout. So as part of this challenge, I really feel that it makes me use up stuff that I wouldn't necessarily use up. And it also makes me dig in my stash for other older bits and pieces. So as well as the image, I've got a list here and it says Christmas themed elements, snowflakes, mesh, ribbon, shiny things, deer, hanging things, puffy stickers, phrase stickers, cut apart sheets. There's a long list. Now you don't need to use them all. They're there just to inspire you. You can use as many or as little as you like. But I sometimes see it as a challenge to try and get as many of them onto one of my layouts for them as possible. I don't know why, it's not what they asked for, but I do enjoy it. So I'm just going through all the bits and pieces, seeing what I can get to go in these frames. So these ornaments, I move them around so much because in my mind they're hanging things. I think that's really good, and they're Christmas ornaments, and they work with the list, and they work with the photo. So I do want to find them a home. And if you carry on watching to the end, they do find a home, but they've tried all of the spaces on their way there. I do get all these trees out and look at it, but I don't think they actually make it to the final layout. But the process is kind of part of the fun for me. I like having a look at everything. Here's the list, it's appeared on the right. So I'm just using that as a memory jogger, just to help me look at bits and pieces. I like the flowers now that I've added to the frames. That just softens the grid up a little bit. Also, shiny things are on the list, so I'm thinking maybe I could add some sequins in a couple of these frames. I've got this box of mixed sequins. God forbid I'm going to go through that and look for some that match these colourways, and snowflakes were on it too, so I've already looked at adding one at the top. This acetate circular frame I really liked, and I do use it over the photograph. I feel like it softens that that part of the grid, and I know it's shiny and it doesn't photograph very well, I think, in the end, but it does look good. Well, in my eyes anyway. So I'm still going through the ephemera, looking for bits and pieces to add to all of the frames. You'll notice now the decorations, I've actually made it to the bottom of the page to go in that bottom frame, and I've added some presents to the frame on the right. There's so many lovely bits and pieces in these kits. That's probably why I've held on to them. But they do really need to start to make it onto these pages. So I've actually taken the white cardstock that I'd cut down, and I've actually sewn it to the gingham paper at the back, the like tartan paper. So what I've done is I've stuck other bits down off camera, and I'm now going to make, it's kind of like a shaker box, but it isn't. I don't want to use acetate in it. I don't want it to be shiny. And mesh was one of the things on the list. So it actually made me think that I've got some like tulle type mesh, you know, like they make petticoats, or they used to, from, that I'd got in my craft box. So what I've done, I've stuck tulle to the back of this frame, then I've added some foam pads, and I'm going to trap some sequins between the frame and the tulle and the paper, the cardstock at the back. So I'm just putting in a few just to see, and I'm just putting the frame over the top, just seeing whether I've got enough in there. I've also done it with the snowflake frame at the top of the layout as well, just with that little bit of tulle to trap the sequins. So I really quite like how that is going to look. So I'm just going to add a few more. So they're just in blues and greys. I've added a little bit of grey in as an extra colour. You can use neutrals when you do the challenges as well, black, white, grey, like beige or craft colours. So I'm just going to stick that down now over those sequins. Sorry, view of the top of my head. And then I'll carry on and I'll embellish that frame as I'd planned to. So I'm going to stick that acetate down just in the corner where it's going to be covered by this flower, and then it doesn't mark it over the photograph. So I'm going to just add a second flower. In fact, I had two over the top of that die cut just to give it a bit of dimension. And yeah, I like the way that's looking. So these baubles are now going to hang over this frame. Just add the three together. Things are always better in odd numbers, aren't they? But you can still see the sequins that I've trapped there. So I'm now thinking about placing my title. I'd like it to be a little longer, so using the alphas that were in one of those kits, I'm going to write first to make first Christmas. So I've gone with 1ST. In fact, there was loads of different sorts of S's and T's on this alpha, so I had plenty of choice. So what I've done is I've put it onto white cardstock and cut round it to make it look like the chipboard. I'm just moving that flower a little bit so I can fit the title in where I'd like it to look. So I'm going to finish off with some snowflakes, and I think there's a heart or two as I do the final bits of sticking down. That poor flower gets moved around. It will go back into place. There it is by the photograph. It probably needs more sticky by now. It's been moved. So this is the final layout with the dimension. I'm really pleased how it came together. Please check out CSI. They do some great challenges. And if you like what you see, give this a thumbs up. And if you want to subscribe to my channel to see more layouts, I would love that too. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you here soon. Bye for now.